Hidalgo also has quite a history and quite a reputation, and I thought, well, he must, I hope, will come out and speak with us. He has quite a background militarily, scholastically, and also he, as a prisoner of war, was at the surrender when General King surrendered to General Hama, the Japanese general. And he gave us a very moving address at that time. So it is with great honor and pleasure that I welcome Commander Emilio Hidalgo, who is the commander of the American Foreign Legion, post 509 in the city. Let's give Colonel Hidalgo a great welcome.
I am going to speak to you of what really happened to the Philippines during the initial stages of World War II. It was not so long ago, at precisely 12:35 hours of December 8, 1941, 60 heavy bombers of the Japanese Air Force bombed Clark Air Base, destroying the 12 brand new B-17 bombers of the USAF that had just arrived from Hawaii just 6 days ago. A week later, the Japanese landed at Ingayan Gulf, then at Taguigaro in the north, and at Atimunan in the south. Units of the Philippine Scouts met invaders at the beaches and were driven back with heavy losses. They came to know that horse-drawn cavalry proved to be no marks of the light armored units of the Japanese. General Douglas MacArthur immediately put into action plans made earlier for a mass withdrawal of the Philippine and American forces into Bataan, where he intended to fight them in a final and decisive engagement. He ordered the remaining troops to head for Bataan. Entering into Bataan, our troops occupied positions previously selected, dug in, and awaited the arrival of the enemy, which had followed with a long convoy of its own. They occupied the flat lowlands, facing the entrance of the Pilar Bagak Road that runs through the center of the province up to Mount Samat. We guessed right. The road was an intended target of the enemy. It was the main supra route for our units located in the area. The stockpiles of food, ammunition, and various other items have been deposited there for easy access of the troops. The 51st Infantry Regiment and the 51st Field Artillery, of which I was a member, have been given the mission to guard the road with the supporting units from the 41st and 21st Infantry Divisions. We have to defend Bataan at all costs. It was of such importance to us, for if the road will fall into the hands of the enemy, Bataan defenders will be divided into two, and it will not take long. All the resistance will collapse as early as January 1942. The struggle for control of the road began in the early morning of January 10th, with heavy shelling of our positions by the enemy. Houses burst into flames. Japanese dive bombers arrived and dropped incendiary bombs that ignited flames that devastated our area. They dropped their bombs at treetop level, and in doing so emitted a screeching sound that would scare everyone. A sort of psychological type of warfare. We have no defense for such attacks. It was really hell to fight the enemy without air cover, but we have no other recourse. our losses ballooned with such bombings. Our spirits had been buoyed up by a promise that a 100-mile convoy would arrive from the United States with all the supplies needed and the much needed in reinforcements. But the longer we waited, the more frustrated we became. For America was 10,000 miles away, separated from us by the vast Pacific Ocean. 6 battleships of the U.S. Navy lie at the bottom of Pearl Harbor. And we in Bataan are surrounded by a brutal enemy. We just have to disregard it. As early as the second week of January, the incidence of malaria and dysentery have reached epidemic proportions, so deadly that if bitten by a mosquito infected with malignant type of malaria, a soldier will die in just 4 days. We eat only once a day, breakfast of rice porridge, laced with little sardines or salmon, nothing more. Our doctors have been drawn to man a single station hospital at Maribeles. Only a few corpsmen have been left to attend to the sick and the wounded. On the 21st day of January, our unit and the infantry we have been supporting were pushed downhill by a vicious attack of the enemy. Upon occupying the position and with assistance of friendly units, we began showering the Japanese troops advancing to our front by using the TOT, that is time on target. A new technique whereby 3 or 4 artillery batteries firing from different places and ranges could land their projectiles at a common target at approximately the same time. TOT is a deadly use of the power of artillery units usually intended to neutralize a mass attack by the enemy. So deadly that in a few days of its use, the Japanese had to withdraw the 4th units and seek safety beyond the range of our field artillery. On February 3rd, 1942, a lull in the fighting followed. Since then, the Japanese made offensive operations against our troops in the area. With the lull in the fighting, General MacArthur and President Quezon and their families were able to proceed to Australia, and from there, General MacArthur was able to direct Allied operations against the enemy. It proved to be a turning point in the war. We lost a lot of our men in that fight at the Pilarbagak Road. It lasted for 25 days of bloody and bitter conflict for both. Many would perish in the death march also that followed before Bataan on April 9, 1942. Many of our comrades from Maywood never returned home after the war. Out of the 89 who left Maywood for the Philippines in 1941, only 43 came home. Others have found a final resting place in the islands or in the graves that come ordinary Kapastarlak. We have not any regrets. We have properly good and just cause. We have done our duty for God and country, and for which we say, God bless America, and may God also bless the Philippines. Thank you.
You won't believe it, but Colonel Hidalgo is 93 years young.